Hi guys, welcome back to the RC Story. My name's Ammo. Look at what we got on the desk today, guys. Yes, this is our brand new Arrma Kraton 6S EXB. Now, if you haven't seen the previous video to this, I'll put a link just up here in the corner where this thing fried in a record-breaking 24 seconds. That's right, it lasted 24 seconds. I'll put a clip on the screen right now, and this is exactly what happened. So as you can see,
yes.
it was its first run. You've seen me go out, and it just, for some reason, wasn't performing the way it should be.
Expect it to be more tamed,
and all of a sudden, 24 seconds, and the ESC has fried.
No way. That's very strange, guys. I've got steering. The ESC's on, as you can hear, but that noise is me pulling the trigger and it's not moving. Right, let's inspect and see what's happening.
So, we put a new ESC in, and in that video, we went back out and we ran it. And yeah, this truck was absolutely fantastic. However, there is one more issue. I should have done this video sooner. I've just been so busy with other RC content, and I left this on the back burner. And in that time, they've released another one. It's absolutely crazy. I've only ran this truck once since I purchased it, and that was on that video. And since then, they have released the clipless body version of this truck. Yes, they have taken away the gyro, etc. as well, I believe, on the newer version. So, and you're paying more money for something that's got less on it, other than the clipless body system. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm not going to go out and buy that one. Just simple reason being because it's got the clipless body and the lack of the gyro. So it just doesn't make physical sense. And the fact that I've only ran this once. But we've had a couple of messages regarding this truck, and this was something that I should have documented a while ago. This is due to requests, obviously. This truck whined hell of a lot. I'll put a clip back on the screen now and listen out to the whine and screeching this actually makes. As you can hear it going down the field, you can hear it screeching, and it sounds like it's got a tight ratchet. So in this video, we're going to address the issue and let's see what it is. So as I move the car right now, it moves pretty freely. It does sound a little tight, but I think that might be the motor the way it is. First thing first, you guys are going to say to me is check the mesh, which I have done. So I'm going to pull the camera in and I'll show you guys the mesh. So just zooming in onto the pinion gear, as you guys can see it just there. I am going to actually rock it backwards and forwards. That's just the pinion gear getting rocked. And it's not tight. It's got some slop there. Now, I believe that shouldn't make that screeching noise the way it is. I definitely don't think that needs to be any looser. I don't want to lose any teeth, etc. But I can physically see. You guys probably won't be able to see, but just down there where you can see it gapped up, there is a gap there, and that's nice and free. So it shouldn't be making that whining noise. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stick a battery in it right now and demonstrate for you guys on the desk the actual noise that it's making. And I know a few of you guys out there have got the same issue. So I've put the truggy on a tyre. This is a tyre off my Primal Raminator. Yes, it's absolutely huge. We're going to turn this on and let's see if we can simulate that noise once again. Okay, so it's all on. Steering's all working, as you can see. Let's see if we can recreate that noise. So you can hear it straight away. I'll try and go slowly. You can hear it just there. It sounds almost like there's something grinding, but it's very high pitch. So we're going to dig into it and let's see what it is. First thing we'll try is the center diff. We'll check if it's still making that noise. However, when the center diff is out, I will probably run it again and try the motor as well. Kill two birds in one stone. Could it be a faulty motor that's making that whining noise, or is it the diff? So when we open the diff, what I'll do, because I'm opening it, I shouldn't have to change the fluid straight away considering it's only been ran once. But as I'm there, I will put some thicker diff fluid in and check all that. And then I'll probably put it back together again, run it again, and if that hasn't eliminated it, then the only next step is the front and rear diffs. But it shouldn't be like that out of the box. But like you guys said, some of you guys have got the same issue and we're going to resolve this together. So let's dive in, let's take out the center diff and go for another test. So I removed the center diff, which was pretty simple to do. Just for those that are wondering how I did it, basically I removed the bolt out the tower braces. So one through there and there's another one for the other brace, which is that one there. So once they're moved out the way, you have 4 bolts on top of this piece just here. Remove them and then basically the diff just lifts out. Nice and easy to do. That's out. What I'm going to now do is, before I mess around with the diff, the motor sitting in situ, what I'm going to do is put the batteries back on, power it up, and let's see if it still makes that whine with a free running motor. If it does, we know the motor's the issue, and I will obviously have to get this under warranty. If it's not whining like it was, then we know it's something further and we'll have to open the diff up, check the diff, and if it ain't the center diff, then we'll have to aim to open the rear diff and the front diff. So the batteries are all plugged in, let's turn it on. There we go, 6 bleep, 6S. Steering's all working. There is a high-pitched noise coming from the motor. Let's move that drive shaft out the way. It is coming from the motor, I believe. You can hear the high-pitched noise. However, there's no vibrations or anything like that coming from the motor. Wow, that's high pitched. Right, let's check the diffs anyway. I'll change the diff fluid and let's see if that makes a difference. I'll pop it all back together and let's see what difference it makes. So to change the center diff fluid, it's pretty easy. You've got 4 Allen head bolts there. We literally undo them. We take this casing apart, so you've got your center diff casing, that's on that side, and your spare on that side. So you lift the spare out, and that should allow us to see what fluid's actually in this casing. There ain't no other bolts. As you can see, some have bolts going through the center shaft there, but this one doesn't. So it should be nice and easy and straightforward. So I've opened it up, and as you can see, if you look in there, there's not a lot of fluid in there. There is some, but not a lot. So I am going to top this up, to be fair. It looks a bit dry on some of the sides, so it's definitely worth topping this up. Just put it just under, you can see just under the top of that gear. As you can see, I've used 100k. A big question I get asked by a lot of people is, what oil do we use? And it's a personal preference. For bashing, I like to use 100k in the center and 50k on the front and rear, just giving it that aggressive feel and a perfect balance. So now that the center diff is filled, I can easily just turn around and move to the next step and do the front and rear diff, but it defeats the object of this video. We want to see if filling the diff, the center diff, makes a difference on that whining noise, or is it strictly the motor? So because we are actually fault finding, and yes, I did say there is a high pitch coming from the motor, but that grinding noise ain't there. The high pitch grinding noise ain't there. So it only makes sense to just eradicate any issues. We put this center diff in and this thing's pin drop silent in comparison to what it was before. We know this was the culprit, and then you guys out there know all you need to do is put some fluid in. So what I'm going to do is disconnect these batteries, put the rear prop shaft in, connect the front prop shaft up, and put the center diff back in. Once the center diff's back in, I'll show you the process on how to rebuild it all. And once it's all back in, we will run it and let's see if it's made a difference to that noise. So I've just put the front and rear prop on, as you can see. So that's the rear prop, the front prop's all in. The diff is in place. As you can see, we've got that rocking noise, which we're supposed to have. So you have to have that play there. That's completely fine. What I'm going to now do is put the diff retainer. That goes over the top. So I'm just going to pop that in place. And that literally just gets pushed down. So you just line it up like so and push that down. Now all I got to do is put the 4 screws in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's in place. I'm not going to put the tower braces back on right now. We are going to test this first. So let me put these 4 bolts in and we'll start testing it. So I've plumbed the batteries up, and what I'm going to do now is switch the car back on and let's see if putting fluid or changing that fluid and topping it up has made a difference to that whine noise altogether. So I'm just going to turn the controller on, power the car up. Right, all the beeps are done, all working. So let's see if that noise is still there. Right, straight off the bat, what I will say is running a lot smoother on initial throttle. And on lower throttle, that noise seems to have calmed down a bit. And it's running a lot smoother like this. Like I said, I adjusted the mesh and it seemed fine before. However, I've given it a bit more space. I'm just going to turn the car on. I'm just going to turn it up and let's see if it makes a difference. Right, it seems to have been a bit better than before. So though the mesh was fine, I have loosened it off probably about 1 mil or 2 mil at the most. And it seems to have improved the noise a lot better as well. So this is what the pinion shouldn't sound like. I've just pushed it close together just to show you guys the noise difference. So this is what it shouldn't sound like. You can hear how loud and screechy that is. So this is what it should sound like. A lot better. So far, we have put fluid in the center diff, we've remeshed the motor, and that noise seems to have calmed down hell of a lot on high throttle. That center noise is a contributing factors of things probably not put together in the factory correctly. So that's calmed it down hell of a lot. Yes, I expect some noise. That's just how these cars are. And being a 6X rig on top end, yeah, it is going to sound a bit crazy and wild. I've got my other Kraton EXB version 1, and that sounds ridiculous as well. I can't do a motor swap and put that motor in it and try it that way, because that's on a Max 6 setup, and because it's a different motor altogether, it's going to sound completely different. But that one is loud as well. And looking at some of my other Arrma cars, now this is probably as loud as them, so I have probably eradicated this issue. But what I'm going to do for peace of mind, I'm going to open the front and back diffs and I'm going to top them up with some fluid as well. Simple reason being how bad and empty the center one was, these may be the same. So what I'm going to do, I'll bring the camera in and I'll show you exactly how to take the diff out and top them up as well. So we'll start at the front. So on the front, what I'm going to do is take this casing off. So I need to remove these bolts. Once they're removed, them ones, them, remove them out of the way. I might have to take the anti-roll bar off, and that should give me access to the diff. And then the diff, I should be able to just pull straight out. So let's start unbolting. All unbolted,
but it seems that I need to take this plate off as well. So I'm going to undo them 2 bolts, them 2, and then that would allow this cover to slide forward. All off, as you can see. Now this should just pop off. Now it has exposed the diff itself. Oh, it's a bit greasy in there, eh? All right, let's open this out. Literally, that should just pop out now. It will give me some messy hands, so I'm going to put some gloves on, pull that out, and then let's have a look at the diff. So I've popped the diff out. I did make one mistake. In order to take the diff out completely, you need to remove the drive shafts. So the easiest way to do that for me was to loosen that bolt just there. And once that was loosened, the hinge pin that comes across, I literally pulled the hinge pin out of that hole there, or should I say that hole there. That came out. That allowed the upper arms to come loose and the drive shaft comes away. Same on the other side. And once that happened, just wiggle the diff out and the diff's popped out. Now we're going to move over to the diff itself. We're going to undo them bolts and let's check the fluid. So opening up the diff, as you can see, there is some fluid in there, but it is a bit dry. What I'm going to do is top that up, similar to what I've done with the center, and put it back together, and then I'll do the same with the rear. So I fill the diff fluid up at the front there. I have used 50k this time on the front, and I'll use the same on the rear. So I've popped the diff back in. If you've got shims, make sure you put your shims in. As you can see, I've got a shim just there. I've popped that back in. What I'm going to do is put a slop of grease on that before I close it all up, put the cover back on, get the drive shafts in, and build the front end back up. It doesn't take long to do this, to be fair. It's probably like a 30-minute process if you're taking your time. Over onto the rear, we're probably going to start by taking these 2 bolts off and removing the anti-roll bar. It does pop out on each side of the ball joints. Once that's out the way, undo the 2 top bolts, 2 bottom bolts. That'll expose our diff. I will probably have to take off rear arms on each side just to give me that extra wiggle room to remove the rear drive shafts out the way. Once they're out the way, the actual diff should slide out. Once the diff slides out, I'll open it up and I'll show you how much fluid's in the back ones. So I've taken the rear diff out and I've opened it up. That's how much fluid's in there. It's okay. They all seem to be about the same, I guess. I think it's a bit low personally, but it's a personal preference. I'm just going to change that and put some 50k fluid in there to match the front. Put it all back together and then we're going to give it a go. All filled up with 50k, as you can see, just sitting on top of that crown gear. Now I'm just going to let them bubbles escape. Once that's done, I'm going to put this back together, put this diff back in, and we'll give this a go and let's see how much of a difference it has made to that sound. So all diff fluids have been topped up, or should I say changed. The center, the front and rear, all done. I'm going to give it a run. It should make a hell of a difference because I've noticed, as you guys seen, some of the diffs were low on fluid, especially the center diff. So I'm going to turn the car on. We'll give this a go and let's see if it's made a difference. So much smoother, guys. On low RPM, very smooth. It's just after there you can hear a bit of a grind. It's definitely not the gearing. So it seems that I've actually cured it. Now, I have had a look on YouTube at a couple of other RCs, Kraton 6S's, EXB V2s out there, and trying to listen out for what their motors sound like. It's very, very hard, obviously, trying to justify and get the full gist of the noise over a YouTube video. But it gives you an idea where when you seen the video on this one running, this was screeching really, really loud, a real loud, high-pitched screech, almost like a pinion gear is grinding away, is the only way I can describe it. Or if like a grub screw fell in the pinion gear and it's rubbing. That's what it sounded like. But that noise is actually gone now. So I'm guessing it was a combination of things that caused it, which was the center diff fluid as well as the meshing
on the actual motor. Though the mesh was fine, I believe, in terms of the way the gears sat, they weren't sitting completely stuck in. They were moved out quite a bit, and they did have some play. What I've done is probably shifted them out by 1 mil or 2 mil more, giving them a bit more play, and that seems to have calmed it down as well. There is a bit of noise on top end on high RPM, but I believe every 6S brushless RC is going to make that noise. I've checked it with a couple of my cars and they sound very similar. So I'm going to say that's good from my point of view. I think that should run perfect now. The only way I'm going to find out is when I take it out for a bashing session and see how I get on with it. The fluids should make a huge difference. The reaction time on this car should be a lot quicker as well. So I'm looking forward to that. If you found this video helpful, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that notification button, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.